So we are back. I'm sorry for the disruption. There was a technical challenge. There was a power failure. There was a power outage here. There was no signal in the link of the internet. So we are back with the presentation. We are there on the we are there on the solution. If you look at the solution, it is the derailed economy in the rural areas, the unsustainable livelihood, farmer distress. There is a acute water crisis, flooding as well as irrigation. People are wanting to move out of the villages, and there is a massive exodus to the landscape, which is creating the need for the smart cities, and ultimately farmers are not interested that their next generation you should take farming as a career, because farming has by and large now been proven as a loss making proposition. The farmers are unable to generate enough profit to make their life sustainable. So here again the solution is, as you can see on the flow chart here, there is a industrial effluent and there is a village sewage. So the entire village sewage plus stormwater plus runoff water, which is the mix of whatever agriculture landscape has been using, all that will come into the natural water body. You see this black line is taking it into the typical village pond, and here we will be doing the treatment of carbonomics technology. Now another aspect which is very important to understand is this line is going into the drip irrigation for the entire farmland, and there is another line which is going into the cow shed for the drinking water purpose, and there is a wastewater line coming out of the cow shed, which is taking all the cow dung and the cow urine and the wastage of the animal husbandry into the biogas plant, from where the fuel or the biogas or the electricity can be generated. And the slurry of this biogas plant, which is the biggest problem in setting up of a biogas plant, that what do we do with the slurry? All that slurry will get into the water body where the treatment is going to happen, right? So this wastewater and this slurry will get into the water body, wherein the treatment of carbonomics technology will happen, and this will rejuvenate the uh, ecology of the wetland, in which it will be rejuvenated, and the soil and air will naturally be having a ripple effect of it. Now this water will be used for the purpose of irrigation in the farmland instead of drip irrigation, and only the foliar spray on the leaves. There will be no drenching or flooding of this water in the farmland, which means it will save about 90% of the water which is being used for irrigation by the method of flooding and drenching. So 90% usage of this water into the farmland will actually make the farmland free from diseases and pests, and will make the entire farmland resilient to the unpredictable weather conditions. Now, this will also eradicate the need for the chemicals in the farms, which means there is no need for any fertilizer, no urea, no potash, no uh, phosphate. NPK is basically required mandatorily by all the farmlands as per the new farming technology. Again, if you go towards organic, there is a lot of fertilizer which is required, which is like cow dung manure or your quechua khad, I mean, the vermi compost and whatnot. all that is added to the land, right? But in this case, nothing is required. Now, to make you understand this entire concept, you just need to visualize, which you must have seen plenty of places but you would have ignored. That is, when it rains, when the natural rains happen, you will find that the grass have started coming out of the wasteland. Even from below a rock, there is a grass coming out. How does that happen? What has changed into the soil? Nothing. It is only the water which is being added is natural fresh water in form of the rain. So that is how the ecology works. There are functions which water is supposed to perform, which soil is supposed to perform, and which air is supposed to perform, right? So when you get the same quality of water as good as fresh rains, the water in itself is good enough to fulfill all the needs of the plantation. So the entire chemicals, whether it is fertilizer, insecticide, or pesticide, or hormones, anything which is required by the chemical based farming today, will be eradicated, and this will be done without even hampering the yield. Normally, when people go and ask the farmer to switch over from a chemical based farming to an organic farming, so called organic farming, the yield drops by about 60 to 65%. Why should a farmer compromise with his yield? Because that is the source of livelihood for the farmer. Why should he compromise with that? So this is a farming technique in which he doesn't have to compromise with his yield. His yield is the highest in terms of both quantity as well as quality, right? And when it comes to animal husbandry, using this water as a drinking water source, as a bathing of the animals and washing of the sheds, this water will actually eradicate all the diseases and the pests even from the animal husbandry, which means there is no need for antibiotics in the uh, livestock farming. And additionally, the the carbon credit can definitely be generated out of the same pond, so that will be adding additional revenue to the entire village. The panchayat will grow richer with the selling of the carbon credits in the market, and the entire rural economy will be reinstated. There'll be no water shortage in the villages. So what I had shown into the water profile of Punjab earlier, that there are so many ponds, and there's so many man-made ponds and so many natural ponds. There's so many wetlands. All that is good enough once we restore them ecologically for the water abundance in the entire state. So that's the end resultant, that the rural economy is reinstated. The urban key challenges are taken care of. The agroeconomy is back in place. Every farmer has got minimum three sources of income, and the input cost is minimized or almost made zero. So this is how the entire water crisis can be sorted out. The underground aquifer gets naturally recharged. The 400 to 500 millimeter of rain in a year is good enough for reviving the water condition of the entire state, and Punjab will again be back to the state of abundance.
मधुकर जी, मधुकर जी,
Yes, sir.
थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर द वंडरफुल प्रेजेंटेशन व्हाट यू हैव गिवन. कुछ दो चार सवाल हैं जो आपके साथ डायरेक्टली लेना चाहूंगा. कैन आई
जी
जस्ट
सर.
क्विकली, दो चार सवाल हैं जो आपके साथ बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मैं लेना चाहूंगा. क्या मैं जल्दी से ले लूं दो चार सवाल आपके साथ?
जी सर, बिल्कुल.
ओके.
Tell me.
द फर्स्ट पार्ट इज दैट thank you very much for such a detailed, wonderful presentation what you have given. But I will call it a teaser because there's a lot of homework which has to be done. Okay.
Okay.
Now, second part which comes to my mind, हमारा जो पूरा प्रोग्राम चल रहा है ये है न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट
जी
नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020, हमारा फोकस उसके ऊपर है। अब न्यू
जी
एजुकेशन पॉलिसी की जब हम बातचीत कर रहे हैं तो अंडर दिस न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी स्टूडेंट्स, टीचर्स, काउंसलर्स, प्रिंसिपल्स, हेडमास्टर्स, वाइस चांसलर्स, policy makers, government, and strategists, they all are together on a common platform, including experts like you, those can give the solution. आज मैं इसको फर्स्ट पार्ट लेके चलता हूं। मेरी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी सेकेंड पार्ट में बी वेरी काइंड टू टेल मी what schools can do, what colleges can do, what universities can do, what students can do, what teachers can do, what research scholars can do, what agriculture experts can do, and then at the same time आपके साथ एक छोटी हम टीम कैसे तैयार करें कि जिसके अंदर अगर हमने तीन चीजों को लेकर चलना है, which I understood because the next program is starting. And I'm sorry I had to pull you once again because the electricity had gone somewhere. The inverter also got closed and I had a disruption in between little bit. So you gave me three things. One is soil, water, and air. And you talked about living ecology and you talked about the key source to life. And then you talked about urban solution and you talked about a rural solution.
rural
Now I would make a humble request to you, human solution. These both you have given wonderful. But my concern is कि अगर मेरे पास बच्चे हैं, मेरे पास टीचर है, मेरे पास स्कूल है, मेरे पास कॉलेजेस है, मेरे पास यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं, मेरे पास वो पूरा अदारा है, तो बेसिकली सारे का सारा समाज इस अभियान में कैसे लगे कि पुनः पंजाब को हम सारी चीजों से बचा सकें, पोल्यूशन भी ना हो, वाटर लेवल भी नीचे ना जाए, लोगों की प्रॉस्पेरिटी भी हो, लोगों को काम धंधा भी मिले, और ये पूरे इकोसिस्टम को दोबारा कैसे रिवाइव करना है. That would be the second part, which I would make a request to you. Take your own time, whatever time you want, but I think we should put it before the government of Punjab in detail, and also at the same time to the Union Ministry for Water Resources as well, what can be done. And this is not to be done in isolation. I think various departments has to be integral part. Agriculture department भी रहेगा, water resources भी रहेगा, pollution वाला भी रहेगा. उसी के साथ साथ हमारे को बच्चों को स्किल्स का भी रहेगा, एम्प्लॉयमेंट का भी रहेगा, एजुकेशन का भी रहेगा, अवेयरनेस का भी रहेगा. तो बहुत सारी चीजों को हम लेकर आगे चल सकते हैं. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आज आपने अपना समय निकाला और आप इस प्रोग्राम को आपने तैयार किया इतनी खूबसूरती से. So ladies and gentlemen, this will be available on the YouTube for all of you. You can see any point of time. मधुकर जी ने जो पंजाब की आज केस स्टडी का पहला पार्ट दिया, और मैं इनसे निवेदन करूंगा इसके सेकंड पार्ट में we will link it more with the national education policy, new education policy 2020, making education relevant and how it should become the integral ecosystem का जो part जहां school, colleges, university, institutions and every human being in Punjab is the part and parcel of this entire campaign. जैसे वो स्वच्छ भारत है, तो ये हमें अपने पंजाब को दोबारा से एक अच्छे ढंग से इकोसिस्टम में प्रॉस्पर कैसे करना होगा. इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. थैंक यू वेरी मच मधुकर जी. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks a lot. Very kind of you. Thanks for your valuable efforts, inputs, and so much of ingredients what you have given. We look forward to the second part of this, which